Good evening, folks. It's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, part 6 of my interview with former Yonkers Police Lieutenant Anthony DiMaggio. Join me. Good evening, folks. Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Tonight, part 6 of the Anthony DiMaggio interview, former Yonkers Police Lieutenant. Tonight, we get into the black shirts, more commonly known as internal affairs. Folks, help me welcome Anthony DiMaggio, the most requested guest. I already got a like. Thank you, Sam Gardner. Thank you. Thank you, Yonkers. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'm back. Back in the New York groove. I used to want to be a singer when I was a kid. You know that? I used to like stand on my bed and then I pretend that I was on stage and everybody off my, the imaginary people off my bed with my fans. Anthony DiMaggio, how you doing? Yeah, it was very.
Still do that.
How's it going, man? How you been? How have you been since we've last spoken? Last Friday. It's been a week. Everything good?
Yeah, good week.
Have you been getting calls, messages? How have people been responding since you've been doing these podcasts?
Very favorably. I think we spoke about it before. I get some calls occasionally. I got one the other day. A cop called me on an unrelated matter, but he ended the phone call. It was a brief call, but he ended the call. Keep fighting the good fight, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting a lot. Actually, somebody stopped me today as I was walking toward my office, and they didn't even want to give me their name. They didn't. I wanted to introduce myself as hi, and they just want to tell me to keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing a great job. I watched the show, thank you and stuff like that. So, a lot of people, it seems like, whether it's just, people in the public, the residents, or people within the police department are, happy to see this stuff starting to be spoken about. They're happy that it's coming out. And I'm glad that we have someone like you, former police lieutenant. To me, that's very, someone with a lot of credibility, speaking about it. So, it's not just someone's, from the street saying this is what police are like, or this is what I heard, but it's actually a lieutenant, police lieutenant, 15-year veteran, and you're telling us your story and everything else that's going on. But so I want to get into it. You emailed me some emails, right? So I got the emails. Where do you want to start? Let me know.
Well, let me provide a little narrative first. Let me provide a little bit of information about the Internal Affairs Division. By the way, I love that you called them the black shirts, because that was like, for people who don't know who the black shirts were, I was a big history buff in school, and I wrote reports on World War II and all this stuff. So I know a lot about it. That's how I came to love Winston Churchill. And the black shirts in Nazi Germany were the Schutzstaffel. Like I said, the SS, they're more popularly known when you watch on the History Channel and stuff. Those were the animals that were responsible for the majority of the war crimes,
right?
The Holocaust.
The secret police.
Well, the secret police was the Gestapo, and they were both run by the same guy. They were both run by a guy named Heinrich Himmler.
Well, I'm just trying to use your... Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I had referred to Justin Barbado, the detective captain who runs the Internal Affairs Division. I'd referred to him as Heinrich Himmler in one email that I sent. And even Chucky Gardner said to me, he goes, "Did you actually say that?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Why?" I said, "Why not? It fits."
Well,
Look, these people are not throwing people in gas chambers. I get it. It's a hyperbolic analogy, but it's what I'm going to get into tonight is why I call them that, the way they take orders, no matter how unethical.
I'm just trying to use your lingo. So in my post, even when I do a caption promoting, I even said Goomba because I know that's what you like to call the detective sergeant that you got into it with. And also by reading your emails, I wanted to say that you just mentioned something that you called him Henrik Heimlich, or whatever the guy's name is, right? The Nazi war criminal. And I read your emails. And I see some of you can kind of, you're like me. I do this too, right? We have this thing where we want to be as professional formal as possible but we want to say F you, right? So we do it in a way that's professional formal, but people reading it who get it know it's a F you still, right? So, and I'm like, I can see, like, you kind of were just pissing people off in your emails, more and more, as this progressed, it seems. So, but yeah, I'm going to bring up the emails and you let me know where you want to start.
Well, not yet. Hold on. Let me give a little
Go ahead.
Background information about internal affairs. See, even before all hell broke loose with me on the job, friends, people who are not cops would occasionally ask me some question about internal affairs. People who had made some complaint or something. Well, internal affairs did this, or they didn't do that. And it was always like, well, why? Tell me about how they work. So I would explain it to them. What I would say is that internal affairs is not a legitimate investigatory unit. It's a political unit. Okay. They take orders on everything. They don't pour themselves a cup of coffee unless they first run it by the commissioner's office. I'll get into some examples of that tonight. So if you walk in and you make a complaint, or even like whether it's external like that, or if it's an internally generated complaint, like me complaining about Goomba or somebody else complaining about me, no matter what it is, they're going to run it by the third floor before they even open an investigation.
So you're saying almost like there's no point in even complaining to internal affairs, right? If the public, let's say, has an issue with the police officer, I mean,
well, you still should. I mean, you have to, because they will.
Well, you want to make a record of it, right? But I mean,
they will take the complaint. Like, it'll be on paper that you made a complaint.
Right.
But which direction the so-called investigation goes, what gets discovered, that's all up to the third floor. I mean, they run everything by the third floor. And when I say the third floor, at 104 South Broadway, the third floor is where the brass is. So that's why we say the third floor. The chiefs and the commissioner, that's where the people who run the department are. So, the first thing that's going to be asked about a complaint that was just made is, well, who's it about? We got to find out if this is a made guy or not, right? And you're going to see.
And really quick, some of this. I just want to say you just made a comment. He said he wants to. You got to find out if it's a made guy. And just in case anyone is new and hasn't watched the interviews before, you've compared some of these guys to like the mob, right? And that there is a unofficial ranking system which is similar to that of the mob. And because even though you outranked him, right? You are a lieutenant and he was a sergeant. He still got his way because he was above you in the unofficial ranking system. He was a made guy, as in the mob. When you're a made guy, they can't just whack you. You have to get permission from the bosses up above you, and they'll have to come together and they have to okay it, and then you get it done, right? And so that's what happened in your case, and we'll go over some of the emails, and you'll have some of the made guys that are on there also that you'll point out, I'm sure, like the former Commissioner Mueller, that you've we've been speaking about.
So the idea is, I want to get it out of people's heads that the Internal Affairs Division is a ground up investigatory unit. If you think that you're going to just go there and make a complaint,
right,
they're going to take the paperwork from you. But if you think that they're just going to start investigating and then come to a conclusion and then hand that conclusion up to the commissioner's office, I got a bridge to sell you. Because what they're going to do is they're going to run everything that you said by the third floor, and then the third floor is going to tell them what to do.
And depending on who the guy is, right.
And we're going to get into some examples of this. So everything that I sent you before, I also have here in front of me in a folder. So why don't we start with, all right, let's start with a couple of the emails from my case. All right. Now, the day after the crime scene, we're going to get into the crime scene starting next week. That was my plan. But because I want to talk about internal affairs tonight and the way they operate, it helps to get into some of these emails right now. So after I listened to Goomba's voicemail, this is an email that I sent to 2 chiefs, 2 captains, and a lieutenant, okay? Now, none of the people in this red box Okay, there's 5 names there. None of them are from internal affairs. I did not want to get anybody in trouble over this. I was not looking for Goomba's head.
Right.
I know.
And that's what I read. That you never.
Right.
You were looking to get him in trouble, because if you were, then you would have just made an official complaint from the get-go.
Right. Now, in about the middle of the email, you'll see that I said that he left me a voicemail of an aggressive, confrontational, and threatening nature. Okay, that's all I said. I didn't quote him.
Well, you did quote it. You said on my cell phone with the specific request that I keep it and play it for whoever the fuck you want. Excuse my language, quote unquote. Really quick, what's a DD air car? Just curious. I read that.
Right. DD air car is
Detective Division, I'm assuming.
Right. So like right now, it's what? It's about 8:40 on a Friday night.
Yeah.
There's a dozen detectives or whatever working down at the Detective Division. Only 1 or 2 of them is going to be the air car. That means those are the detectives that are going to be assigned to handle new felonies, new major incidents that happen during the tour tonight. The other 10 or so that are working right now are following up on old stuff.
I gotcha.
So the air car is the one that's on the air, on the radio.
I gotcha.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
And that's going to be important to understand when we actually get into what happened at the crime scene starting next week. But this is the email that started it all. Like I say in the box of comments.
So can I read this? Or do you want to read it?
You can read it again.
Okay. All right. Chief Monaco. Is that correct? Monaco. I don't know. There are some problems between patrol and the Detective Division that I have been privy to for far too long now without speaking up. Many other patrol supervisors have also been hesitant to speak up, but things have gotten to the point where I believe that more damage will be done by remaining silent any longer than by making waves and addressing the matter through official channels. Now, so I just want to ask you that. You said it's been far too long now, and you haven't spoke up. Why was that? Why didn't you speak up?
Because the kind of problem that I had at the crime scene on the night of this incident was a common problem. I don't want to waste too much time getting into it now because I'm definitely gonna next week. But
okay, well, I just want to know because it says far too long. I was wondering why you hesitate. And even the other guy said they hesitated. Why not? I like I like to nip things in the bud. But anyway, I'm gonna continue on. Yeah, there was a matter on the early tour last night that, in my opinion, was handled exceptionally poorly. The detective sergeant on duty intervened in the preliminary investigation of felonies via telephone and overruled the ranking patrol supervisor without consultation based on incomplete and inaccurate information provided to him by the DD air car. When it was made clear that his actions were not appropriate and that the matter would be addressed with those in his chain of command, he became irate and left a voicemail of an aggressive, confrontational, and threatening nature on my cell phone with the specific request that I keep it and play it for whoever the F you want. I saved the voicemail as he requested I do. I prefer the matter be resolved peacefully, so I am asking for your help and advice. If I was wrong about thinking the incident was a DD matter, then I will accept the responsibility for making a bad call. I don't believe that to be the case. However, in either way, what followed after I made the call was nothing shy of disgraceful. Please lend your counsel on this matter. I'm not sure where else to go. Thank you. And I just want to read that because that gave a good, little background of to, what happened in the beginning right there. All right. So Go ahead.
Okay. So here I am saying that a subordinate supervisor left me a voicemail of an aggressive, confrontational, and threatening nature. Okay. Now, scroll to the next one, number 2 in this email chain. Right. Now, this is that red box. I got that email boxed off. It's very important. Okay. And I'm just going to read right from the box that I put to the side of it with the commentary in it. 9 minutes after I send my initial email, Deputy Chief Joe Monaco, the chief of the Investigations Bureau, responds. And he's apparently intent on hearing the voicemail and hearing me out. Okay, look what it says. It says, Anthony, I will undoubtedly look into this. I will be back in the office on Friday. Please save the voicemail. This is 2 days before New Year's.
Right.
Please save the voicemail as I would like to listen to it. Either I or Captain Campanini will be in touch. Now, Campanini is a chief now. At the time, he was the detective captain in charge of the detective division. He was Goomba's captain. So this is the chief of the Investigations Bureau. The top dog answers only to the commissioner. saying, save the voicemail. I want to look into it. That's 9 minutes after I send the first email. Now, there's other stuff we'll get into next week. Go straight to number 12. Okay.
Man, this is good. I like this. You numbered it and everything. Cool.
Scroll up a little bit. Yeah,
scroll up. Boom. Commissioner Mueller gets involved.
Yeah. Okay, now. Knucklehead Smith gets involved. Right?
That's for Knucklehead.
Right. So now this is an email from Monaco, Chief Monaco, to Chief Tim Hodges, who was also courtesy copied on the first email that I sent. Okay. Now what he's saying is, and I'm going to read right from the box on the bottom, Chief Monaco, who initially advised me of his intent to investigate the matter within 9 minutes of my initial email, is now doing a complete and total about-face. He indicates that he has no intention of investigating the matter and that Internal Affairs and Lou Venturino's commanding officer, Dan Campanini, also intend to disregard it entirely. Upon closer inspection, it becomes apparent what has transpired. Now let's take a look at the whole email again. Right? You see whose name I have boxed off there?
John Mueller. Yep, he was CC'd on it.
He was now CC'd on the original one that I sent out.
So and why not?
Because it just wasn't a matter that needed to be brought to the commissioner. It was just a workplace dispute. The only reason I went over Campanini's head is because he's a zero. I call him breadstick because he's tall.
And I get that. You don't want to bother the top boss with some nonsense like this, right? So to figure, I got you.
Right. Okay. Now, but how did he get involved? Do you really think that Monaco just decided to add his name as a name being courtesy copied on the 12th email of an email chain spontaneously? He has no idea what's going on. You're just going to dump the 12th email of an email chain on the police commissioner?
Right.
No. What really happened? What really happened is that after I sent out the first email, Monaco, who was also Goomba's good friend, golf buddy, must have called him and said, Goomba, what's going on? What's his email I just got from DiMaggio? They probably spoke about it. When they hung up, Goomba called Knucklehead Smith and said, DiMaggio just crossed me. I'm a made guy. He's going down. Knucklehead Smith said, absolutely. Don't even think about it. He's got to go down. So he gets involved and he goes to Monaco and says, you sent an email saying you were going to look into this? Absolutely not. Goomba's a made guy. We don't look into this.
Right.
Right. Now, Monaco sends this email to Hodges because Mueller must have told him, oh, kick it over to Timmy, which makes no sense because Timmy was the Field Services Bureau chief at the time. And
why would he do that, though?
Well, because that's what you call shit canning it. You're pushing it off to die in Timmy Hodges' office because you're not going to get IAD. And the thing is, this email is so funny because I never asked for IAD to get involved. So Monaco is voluntarily telling me, by accident, by the way, he hit the reply to all button, which I don't think he meant to do. I don't think he meant for me to see this email. Right. But he's saying, hey, I spoke to IAD, Internal Affairs, and Dan Campanini, Goomba's boss, and none of us want anything to do with what Anthony DiMaggio was saying happened. Okay? This is the guy who originally said, I'm going to look into this. Save the voicemail. I want to hear it. Okay?
Right.
Now,
do you want to read this email really quick? Do you want to read it?
Yeah, so this is from Monaco, who's still the Investigations Bureau chief, to Timmy Hodges, who, oddly enough, when he retired, was replaced with Dan Campanini.
Really?
Tim, I have met with IAD and Dan Campanini to discuss some issues with regard to Anthony DiMaggio's complaint. We have decided that his complaint, specifically with regard to Sergeant Venturino's conduct, should be handled as a command-level investigation within the Field Services Bureau. He misspelled field. It's not supposed to say file. It's supposed to say field. I'm not sure why he felt the need to come to me directly with the matter, as I don't think that the Investigations Bureau should be tasked with conducting this review. Do you agree with the thought process? Now, of course, why would the Investigations Bureau chief be tasked with conducting a review into an Investigations Bureau sergeant? Obviously, that's going to fall off onto the Field Services Bureau chief, right? No, of course not. It makes no sense whatsoever. But in Knucklehead Smith's brain, this is how they're going to shit can my complaint. Not that I ever asked for Internal Affairs to get involved.
All right, so let me just stop you there, so I can understand, and people maybe that's watching. So, they shit, when you say shit, kicking the can, really, they passing the buck, basically, right? And to Tim Hodges,
right?
Yeah, they passing the buck. They put it onto Tim Hodges' lap. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, and then So he's saying here that I met with ID and Dan Campanini to discuss some issues regarding Anthony DiMaggio's complaint. We have decided this complaint specifically with regards to Venturino conduct should be handled as a command level investigation within the Field Services Bureau. What does that mean?
What it means is that it's Tim, have Anthony write up a complaint, right? Print it out, route it up through the channels, and when it gets into your office, send it through the fucking shredder. That's what it means. That's what it means to shit can something.
No, I know that, but I just want to explain that specifically. Right. Basically, okay, and then that also takes time, right? So it's like kind of delaying things also.
Well, it's just the important thing to pull out of this email is that Internal Affairs, knowing that I sent an email to the chief saying that this guy left me in a voicemail of an aggressive, confrontational, and threatening nature. They have no idea what he actually said to me. For all they know, he could have threatened to burn my house down while I was sleeping. Right. They have no idea what he said to me. Yet they're deciding that Internal Affairs is going to have nothing to do with it. Okay? Why? Because he's a made guy. Made guys don't get investigated by Internal Affairs.
Right.
And I was talking to Danny Sullivan, and I'm going to give you another example of John Mueller covering for Goomba. All right? But for now, just understand this. I didn't ask for Internal Affairs to get involved. Joe Monaco, Chief Monaco, goes out of his way to let me know that he spoke to Internal Affairs and that they don't want anything to do with it. Okay? Real quick, let's take a look at the one called regarding an urgent matter. No. We're done with this chain for now.
Okay, I got you.
Right, that one there.
Right, now, which one specifically? Start here?
Now, this is it. Yeah, this is from Dan Campanini. A few days later, maybe a week later. Good afternoon. I'm follow-up in reference to your email to Chief Monaco. You indicated Goomba, a member of my command, left you, the voicemail. As Goomba's commanding officer, I am initiating an internal command investigation as to the contents and circumstances of this voicemail. In furtherance of this, I am directing Detective Lieutenant Chiarelli, he's one of the guys in those pictures that I sent you, to coordinate with you and listen to this voicemail. That's the part I love. To coordinate with you and listen to it.
What does that mean, to coordinate with you?
What it means is that pick a time that's both good for you guys.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean, I don't know if you meant coordinate like a story or something, or
No,
okay.
Again, they think that they have to listen to the voicemail from my phone. They don't realize that I can send it to them on a computer.
Right.
In furtherance of this, I'm directing Detective Lieutenant Chiarelli to coordinate with you and listen to this voicemail so that our investigation can be completed, and upon its findings, an appropriate course of action and or discipline can be taken. Now, when I read this, I was laughing. Like, I swear to you, I almost wanted to respond to him in an email, like breadstick. That's what I call him. Right. Campanini. I say, hey, breadstick.
So
you think you're talking to a jerk off, bro?
So I'm reading.
Goomba? No way.
I'm reading down here in the red. Right. This email is what I call a dog and pony show. I've been a member of the Yonkers Police Department longer than long enough to know that no form of discipline whatsoever is going to be taken against Detective Venturino, Sergeant Venturino, unless an outside agency becomes aware of the situation. When I declined to write Sergeant Venturino up as requested by Chief Hodges, somebody decided that it needed to look like measures were being taken to address Sergeant Venturino's behavior anyway, especially if I was to be retaliated against thereafter. This email is the first indication that none of the people involved realize that a voicemail is just an audio file. Like you mentioned, that you can send it. There is no need for all right. So why didn't you write up the formal complaint like Tim Hodges had advised you to? If you were seeking for, like, that's what you were looking for, advice, right? Counsel, you said.
Yeah, but no, what they were trying to do is at this point it had already been decided, because they were setting up the internal affairs nonsense against me
right
within the first few days of January. So 4 or 5 days before this. Now, this is all of them deciding, we have to make it look like we're doing something about what he said. So let's tell him to write up a supervisor's report, an official complaint about Goomba's behavior, and to route it up through the channels. Now, I'm no idiot. There's two reasons why I didn't do it, okay? The first is I never wanted to do it. I was never trying to get anybody in trouble. I was trying to have a conversation. There was supposed to be a meeting. It ended up getting canceled for reasons I'll get into next week. But when the meeting was canceled, they said, okay, we'll send internal affairs after him. But we can't do nothing about what he's saying about Goomba in the voicemail. We have to at least make it look like we're doing something. So that's where this email comes in. Oh, I'm ordering an investigation into Goomba's voicemail, and then we're going to decide whatever discipline is going to. Yeah, come on, bro, please.
Right.
I'm no idiot. This is Goomba we're talking about. I'm not doing that.
Right.
It's a waste of time. You're going to send it to the shredder anyway, and besides, I'm not looking to get anybody in trouble.
So what happens next?
All right, let's close that email out. What was the next one that I sent you?
IDA notification.
Right. Okay. So a few weeks later, now remember, they had all the paperwork done down at IED on me. Okay. Everything that they wanted to use against me, they had in early January. Now they left me on the street. They got all these concerns about my psychological stability to do my job.
Right.
They left me on the street for almost a whole nother month. Right. On January 23rd, I get this email saying that I have to go down to Internal Affairs in relation to the incident on South Broadway. That number that I have boxed off there, that's the incident number. Now, that's the incident number. That's the job that I'm the one that initially complained about. And Internal Affairs gets involved and says they want nothing to do with Goomba's voicemail. They don't even know what he said to me. But now I'm going down to Internal Affairs. You see what I'm saying? Internal Affairs is not a legitimate unit. They're not a legitimate.
So they didn't ask Venturino to come down, Goomba as you call him, but they asked you now to come down to IAD.
Yep. Yeah, because that decision was made in the commissioner's office.
Right. So now they're going to start setting you up. So how are we going to set this guy up and turn it around, making it look like he's got the problem? He's the crazy one.
Internal Affairs does not operate within any ethical parameters, boundaries, none, absolutely none. If they say,
you hear that, folks?
Says, yeah. If the commissioner says, hit that guy, he's got to go down. He crossed the main guy. They're going to do it. They're going to do everything that they're told.
Wow.
If he says, pick up my dry cleaning, they're going to do it. If he says,
that's a lot of I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but that's a lot of power for someone to have, especially, and I'll get back to that, someone like, John Mueller, who, would have what you said about him and what was also, said about him or written about him in the lawsuit, the Montero lawsuit, right? And like you said, they knew what he was about, yet they made him a commissioner, right? And then that comes with a lot of power. So I mean that's dangerous. That's very scary right there. So I'll put it back up here.
Right. So on January 23rd, 2020, I received this email notification that I have to respond to Internal Affairs. On January 28th, in connection to the 517 South Broadway incident I'm reading from that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. From December 30th, 2019. This is after upper management has effectively routed my email complaint about Detective Sergeant Venturino's voicemail in connection with the same incident into the garbage bin. So here's what essentially happened. Okay, you got a patrol lieutenant who's of no particular relevance to anybody, but I still have that rank on my collar.
You're not a made guy,
right? So there's me, and then there's Goomba, who's a made guy.
And how do you become a made guy in this organization here? Just curious.
You just got to know the right people, and I don't think they actually.
It's not about being Italian.
No.
They got other national races and stuff right. I'm sure. Yeah.
Muller's a German Nazi bastard, but he's a made guy.
But he's a made guy still.
Irish. Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is not about about ethnicity.
But it works with the Spanos because they are Italian, so it's a good analogy.
Right.
So what? Like I was saying, there's me, and then there's Goomba. Okay, when Mueller gets involved, he decides that Goomba's culpability in this situation is going to go under the rug, right underneath it, and mine is going to go up to the level of being, psychologically concerning. We're two potty mouth cops cursing at each other. I'm cursing to one of the detectives about him. He's leaving me, vulgar voicemails. Yeah. So it's a workplace dispute. It's not the end of the world. Now, when he challenges me to report it or to play it for somebody, I felt like I had to do something because he's challenging my rank. You know what I mean? So I did, and now forget it. Now Knucklehead Smith is involved. The squirrel that lives between his ears is going batshit. Investigations have to be launched. Careers have to be destroyed. Families have to be separated.
Right. Let me ask you really quick. I'm sorry not to. So do you? Do you think that maybe, you know, and listen, I my ego, I have an ego too. Do you think maybe your ego, you know, when he left you that voicemail and you felt that I'll rank this guy, right? And that's why maybe you kind of felt like you needed to do something. And had you just like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna ignore this guy and kept it moving, would you be here? Would it had just gone away had you ignored the call or ignored it?
Probably. But you know what? I don't regret it because
I was gonna say that. Do you regret that? Do you think about that?
I mean, and by the way, I don't regret not answering the phone for him either because he's a scumbag. Like I said, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't change a goddamn thing. To be honest with you. Excuse my language. I don't like to blaspheme, but
yeah,
that's the way I feel. You know.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it would have just ended there had you just not said nothing about it, and you know,
maybe I don't know, speculation, but let's go to the last email that I sent you. That was from me to internal. This was to Internal Affairs. This is the first email that I sent to them. This was one of 2 emails.
This one here, which one? What number?
The 4th one. It's called audio evidence disclosure. There's a 4th email in there. If you open up the email,
no, I saw 3. Oh no, there is. I see the 1 plus. Okay, right. I got it. Cool. Audio. Yep, here we go.
But it's not on the screen.
Yeah, I'm sure. There we go.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if you scroll up a little bit. All right. This is me being a little sarcastic. I'm having a little fun with it because there's such morons. Prior to next week's appointment, me going down to Internal Affairs, I thought it dutiful to turn over to you the only thing of evidentiary value that I have in relation to the incident about which I have been summoned for an interview. This is an audio file containing the voice message left by Detective Sergeant Venturino on my cell phone. Blah, 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 blah. I did not speak to him at any point that night, which is true. As you will hear, he explicitly requests that I keep the message and play it for whoever I want, clearly believing that he is too well connected with department superiors to be punished for insubordination against a less influential superior officer such as myself, which he clearly is. He also advises me that if you want to play this game, you're going to lose it, indicating that he will use his personal relationships with department superiors to ensure that I am retaliated against if I should dare to take the matter up with those higher than him in his chain of command, which is what I did. And he was right. He did go to John Muller and make sure that I was retaliated against.
And you lost, like you said.
I lost. Yep, 1,000%.
Well, maybe not. Right? It's not over yet, I guess.
Right. Well, interestingly enough, the doctor, this email contained an audio file of the voicemail that we've played. And thanks, Catherine. And if you scroll down a little bit, you see that red arrow pointing to the right.
This right here.
That was all. That was what they had to click on to play the voicemail. So this voicemail is in the email, and it's there for eternity.
And you made it simple for them too.
Yep. Now, what I love is the response. See, look at that box on the right.
Of all this one here, smaller one.
Yeah, of all the emails that I sent to Internal Affairs and others, this is the only one that is not in the file that the quack they sent me to has on me. Oddly enough.
So they didn't want the and when he says quack, he means the psychiatrist. Or they didn't want him to hear the audio that you received, right? Because, and I just want to go touch on that real quick, just in case people are new to the interview shows. You were sent to a psychiatrist, and you know, and this was a guy that was paid. He was in on it with them, and he wrote that you had these delusions that people were out to get you. Which, if you hear the audio, I mean, I can see why you would believe that, right?
Disorder. He diagnosed me with paranoid personality disorder.
Yeah, you were paranoid.
I was supposed to do that. I tried to play the voicemail form in my phone. Oh no! The phone has to stay turned off and face up on the desk or face down on the desk.
He didn't even want to hear it because he already knew he was going to write a negative report about you. He already had in his mind what he was going to do, so he didn't want anything to kind of say, "Hey, well, I let you hear it." That didn't impact your decision. I have the
doctor's 200. He has a 200-page bait stamp file on me. Means every page in it is marked and nothing can be added to it. The city's attorney, Paul Sweeney, sent that file to me via email in June or July of 2020. Okay? So it's on record. They can't change. They can't go back and add that email to the doctor's file now. Right. I have it electronically.
Right.
So that, and actually what I said was wrong. There was one other that was not sent to the doctor. That's one we'll get into. That's probably my favorite in the whole series of emails that I sent. And they withheld it because it contains information that's damaging to John Muller.
So we'll get into that.
So when Internal Affairs, and it even says, "Oh yeah, well, this is going to be a saga, bro. I'm not going anywhere. You going anywhere? You going anywhere?
Oh, no. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just, when I hear these things, I start to get excited. It's like,
right.
Yeah, I like to get to it. It's like when I buy my wife a gift, I want to surprise her, but sometimes I just tell her what I got her because I'm just so, I want to, want to see her reaction.
These first 6 podcasts are just a warm up. This one is important to understand everything that's going to take place afterwards. But next week is when we're really going to dive into the crime scene, and we're going to, be off to the races with the whole situation. And so that's to show you a little bit about how Internal Affairs works. Okay, it was Internal Affairs, and I know this from the some of the Internal Affairs documents. It was Internal Affairs themselves that brought all of the material that they wanted the doctor to see. They brought it to him. They hand delivered it to the clinic up in Scarsdale. Dingy, shitty little clinic, smells.
Well, like you said, this
in the lobby.
This is a guy that, obviously, he doesn't do good in the free market as a therapist or psychiatrist or whatever. So he gets these sweet contracts with cities, municipalities like Yonkers, and as long as he plays ball.
He just works for the clinic. It's the clinic that gets the contract.
Oh, okay. But if he wants to keep his job with that clinic. And now Charles Walker. Who's Charles Walker? Is that Charlie? Is he a black guy, black officer?
Yeah.
Oh, is he this guy? I just want to show you something real quick.
The thing you posted before, that's him.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that if we had some time.
What about it?
Because now see these guys. This was a Yonkers Guardians Association, which is a law enforcement organization, right? But they were partying with some scum, shady individuals, and I just thought was that okay? Is that all right? Like Zahi Jerris right here. This is a convicted felon. He was convicted of bribery, extortion in the Ridge Hill scandal back in 2012 when he bribed Sandy Anabi. She was a majority leader, councilwoman back then. And what's interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Charlie is not involved in that. He's part of that organization. That's why when you mentioned him, I said, oh, still, I thought of this. And I wanted to ask you, this is law enforcement, and he is a convicted criminal. And also you have Nader Sayegh, right, and Tasha Diaz, but this guy's corrupted Sandy Anabi, a majority leader, just what Tasha Diaz is. She changed her vote on the housing ordinance. This guy supports her. Now, is he doing that with her? Right? He went to jail for 4 years. But what do you think about that? I mean, kind of doing officers with, felons like this,
These people, I don't even think I know anybody in that picture.
But that's how Yonkers operates, right? That just goes to show.
These are members of the Spano crime family, and Charlie Walker, non-Italian as he is,
there you go.
Is a made guy in the Spano. Oh yeah, 1,000%. He's a full-blown Spano operative.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's not about Italian in this organization, right? Not about that at all. And Tasha Diaz, I don't know if she's a made woman. She might be a made woman. This is the consigliere right here, though. Zahi Jerris. I'm not sure. He is. If we're talking about the mob, right? This is the Yonkers crime family here. He's the consigliere. That's who he is. That's why I'm asking that. He's in the room with this organization that it's law enforcement organization, right? And he's in there smoking cigarettes. And and I've mentioned about the cigar and hookah parties that they have held here, where high-ranking police officers have attended and stuff. Actually, I got an email from the police department asking about it.
Yeah. From Heinrich Himmler, right?
Yeah, but Charlie, I don't want to say Charlie Walker's that it wasn't really about Charlie Walker at all, him at all. I just when I saw his name there, I just thought about this event. For me, it was more about Zahi Jerris, the convicted felon. He's been convicted of also selling drugs. He was arrested for selling drugs and stuff. But here he is with our city majority leader in an event, a fundraiser thrown by a law enforcement organization. I just thought that was weird. Interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So let me talk about another time that Internal Affairs and John Mueller covered for Goomba.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anderson. All right. So Danny Sullivan.
You want me to bring up his email?
Yeah, let's bring up the first piece of.
See, Danny, look, we're talking about it. I know Danny's been wanting to mention this for a while. I see you got a picture here. Can I put the picture up of the locker? With the
Oh, that's no. Well, that's a different email. That's if you scroll to the narrative. What I did was I didn't want them. I knew I was about to get fired, and I didn't want them. No, yeah, you can go back to the other email that I sent you about myself between me and Barbado.
Wait, hold on. I don't know.
Right. So there's a narrative. There's a narrative to that email. It should be in there. What I wanted you to see is what he says to me.
Yes, I got it here. This one here.
Right. Yeah. So I emailed him. Okay, I've just been advised that my termination will become official tomorrow, and it's about damn time. Here are a couple of pics that I snapped because it's like, get on with it. You know, I'm not signing anything. So if you're gonna fire me, just do it already. Here are a couple of pics that I snapped of the current contents of my locker in the 1st precinct after I cleaned it out the other day in the presence of Detective Sergeant Narvaez and Detective Sergeant Morello. I cleaned my locker out early and took a couple of pics so that the locker would not be invaded secretly and simultaneous to my termination, allowing for the convenient discovery of previously absent contraband. So
that was a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000%. And when you see what these people did to Danny, you'll understand.
Right. And I know what you're talking about. And you're talking about planting evidence, planting drugs, you know. And so where do you want to go now?
Okay, so now let's go to the stuff I sent you about Danny. Now, the story Danny is telling me is that.
And really quick, Danny is a guy that's been watching the podcast. He's from the community. He reached out to me. He reached out to you guys, have been communicating because he was, he had an issue with police officers. He had said he had drugs planted on him. He went and actually complained and to Mueller, about it also, and nothing was done. And then so he was then starting to, throw a bunch of comments and stuff. So now here we are. But go ahead. I got the email here.
He's been writing letters to everybody, and he can't get any love, man. So what he told me was back in 2003, I guess when he was a younger knucklehead or whatever, he had some beef with a lot of cops. They didn't like him. Okay. Right. One night, Goomba Louis Venturino flaked him. Okay. Saw him at the corner of South Broadway and Lawrence and just decided to collar him and charge him with possession of crack.
And a lot of people have, listen, I know that, guys that have had this stuff happen to them, and I believe them. I do. I believe. Listen, I've been a witness to police rolling up on us. I was sitting with my cousin at a park. Police rolled up on us. He was talking to a guy that he knows, and they pulled us. They didn't even search me, but they had us all kind of get up. I was leaning up against the bench. They found some stuff on the guy, and he was with his daughter, right? And they asked me and my cousin if we would take his daughter if they took him to jail. And we both said no, because I'm not going to be responsible for this guy's daughter, right? That's what the cop asked us. And so he says, "You're lucky," to the guy. He goes, "You're lucky that, you have your daughter." So they just took the drugs and they left. That happened. That was a friend. They didn't even search me. I could have had drugs and a gun on me. They didn't even search me, although I didn't. I didn't know.
One of the things that I said that I had alluded to in some of the emails that I sent out was that for some reason, after Chucky Gardner made all this progress for 8 years, cleaning up the department, making it a department that you would be proud for your kid to be a member of.
Right.
For some reason, after he pushed Chucky out, he took the few remaining assholes and put them right at the top. The kind of guys who would do stuff like this. The Muellers and the Venturinos.
And why do you think that is?
Because they paid Nicky Boy for the pick.
And explain that to people who don't know, may not know what you mean.
Yeah, so Keith Olsen and all of the revolving door puppets of the CLSA have been allegedly, I don't know how on earth I'm supposed to confirm this, but they've been paying money to Empire Strategic, which is Nick Spano's lobbying firm up in Albany, under the guise of
union dues. They pay.
Right. Union cash. Okay. But really, the conventional wisdom, the common understanding is that it's really just pay to play. Keith Olsen got his pick of who he wanted to be the commissioner. See, Mike Spano didn't appoint Knucklehead Smith. Keith Olsen did. Okay. Mike Spano just stepped aside as Keith got the pick because that's what he was paying Nick for all these years.
And Keith Olsen is the
situation, right?
PBA president, the president of the police union. Just people may not know.
Right. So let me get into that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see on the top line there, it says, "Be it known that the complainant herein, P.O. Venturino of the City of Yonkers Police Department, accuses defendants of the following offenses." Now, criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 5th degree is a felony. There is no 6th degree for some reason. I don't know why. I think there might have been years ago, a long time ago. The legislators got rid of it. It goes from 5th to 7th. 7th is a misdemeanor. It means you have the smallest amount of a drug possible. When you get into 5th, you're talking about felony weight. It doesn't take a whole lot. So what Venturino says in the report, okay, if you want to go to the report, is the next one.
The report. Then this email here. Oh, I see. I got it. It doesn't show me all of them right away. All right, here we go.
Right. Okay. Now, this is the report that Venturino wrote, where he says in the red box that I have boxed off.
Kumba.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right. Observed the listed suspect, Danny, on the corner looking at several small white pieces of what appeared to be crack cocaine. I tell you what, this guy's got eagle eyes, man. He could see small pieces of crack cocaine in Danny's big chubby hand from the radio car.
Right, yeah.
As we stopped our cars, the suspect saw a sign and quickly turned around and attempted to put the objects into his mouth. Sign officers then grabbed the suspect by the wrist, and upon doing so, numerous rocks of crack fell to the ground and several others went into the suspect's mouth. Then they placed him into custody and allegedly recovered the crack that we all know he didn't throw to the ground.
Dang, 10 small plastic wraps with crack cocaine from the curbside.
So, and then the last line there, it says, it should be noted that the suspect was asked if he wanted medical attention, to which he denied. Now, I spoke to Danny.
Right.
And they said that never happened. They never asked him if he wanted medical attention, right? But when he got down to the jail, he was telling the corrections officers, this is bullshit. I didn't have any drugs. Take me to the hospital. I'll take tests and prove it that I don't have anything in my stomach. So they sent him. When you're a prisoner and you get taken down to the jail and you request to go to the hospital, they have to send you. They have to by law.
Yep.
Okay. This is the toxicology report. Well, look what's boxed off in red.
All negatives.
Every drug under the sun. Guy didn't have anything in his stomach except gummy bears and chocolate chip cookies.
So, I mean,
right.
And he was still convicted of it, right?
Well, what happened was the attorney said to him basically, and this is going back a lot of years, the attorney said, look, it's going to be your word versus the cops.
Right.
Now, he didn't have the toxicology report until just a couple of years ago. And that's what caused him to be stirred up again all about this all of a sudden. All right. And well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. But at the time, he didn't have the toxicology report. His attorney told him, it's going to be your word versus the cops. Okay. You're going to lose. You're going to get convicted of a felony. You should plead to a misdemeanor. So that's what he did. To avoid state time for a felony conviction, he pled to a misdemeanor and took 3 years of probation. Okay. So I asked him, I said, what caused a resurgence of your desire to have this investigated? He goes, well, I was watching something on TV about FOIL, the Freedom of Information Law, and that he didn't know he could actually get his hands on all these reports. So he got the reports from the department. He got the toxicology report from the hospital, and he wrote letters to, I think, Mueller, Internal Affairs, Justin Barbado, basically saying, look, I told you I was innocent. I just got my hands on this toxicology report. I didn't have any drugs in my system that night.
Right.
And
for anybody who's been in a situation like that really quick, or you're looking for any documents, you know, you can, it's called a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act, and you can request documents, you know, like Danny did. He requested the toxicology reports, like Lakeisha Collins Bellamy did, the city council president, when she requested the email Mike Cater sent privately to someone, and somehow the cop had eagle eyes. She's got telepathic powers.
Yeah.
Anyway. Go ahead.
So he writes a letter to Barbado and I guess a couple of other people, respectfully requesting, I read it, saying, I'm respectfully requesting that you reopen this investigation. Basically saying I was flaked. Okay.
Right.
Now, this was about 2 years ago. He sent this letter in. You know what Mueller did?
What's that?
He told IAD, Internal Affairs, to stand down until Venturino retired on the same day that he did. Why? Because he's innocent? No, because what happened was when Barbado or whoever it was got that letter, the first thing they did was, instead of reopening the investigation and getting to doing some investigating, they called up to John Mueller and said, this guy just wants us to reopen a complaint on a made guy, and he's got evidence that what the guy is saying is false.
Right.
Oh, well, that doesn't happen to made guys. We don't do that. You wait. So now apparently this case is open. Now.
But he's retired.
or may have been recently closed. Right, because when he's retired, he's no longer compelled to talk to Internal Affairs. Internal Affairs only investigates active cops, not retired cops.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And so they sent me an email. That's what I mean. They, when the cop approached me, he seemed like a nice guy. I'm sure he's gonna come friendly and stuff. And he says, "There's anything you want to, tell her why." You know what I mean? It's not, it's pointless, right? I'll hold on to it until when I have to, when they're really gonna do something, and that's what we'll do. So yeah, I requested Fiona, who from Shrek. I think she meant to say Foya. I have requested documents before for the isolation of the virus. Yes, the virus has not been isolated, and that's a whole nother podcast, but I know what you're saying. The COVID-19 virus has not been isolated. It doesn't exist. Most people can't understand that, so they're going to think it's conspiracy theory. Sorry. Moving on really quick, though, the FOIA. Here in Yonkers, though, I hear that it's not easy to get. If you send in requests, you don't always get them. Do you know anything about that?
This is Yonkers, man.
I know. Yonkers is
on a level, man.
Right. Yeah, right. It's unbelievable. But look, they raided. I got news of the FBI raided the Neperhan Community Center. The executive director there, Jim Bostic, was given 30 minutes to get his stuff out. They locked the doors and everything. They're looking into misappropriation of funds and all that. Point is that they're here, the FBI. Are they going to be, maybe looking into other things? Are some people concerned? Because some people say they're concerned. I don't know. Is this ever going to change? People want to see people go to jail. I say we got to vote. That's the big thing,
Right.
And you definitely have to make sure that you do what you have to do in your case here, because I think you have a good case here, actually, from everything you've been showing us. And if you haven't watched the episodes, make sure you catch up. Go ahead.
How much time we got left?
We got 8 minutes.
All right. In that 8 minutes, let me get a little story about Internal Affairs out. Okay. To give you an idea of how toxic the culture is down in Internal Affairs and in the commissioner's office. Okay. And actually, at the time that this story happened, Chucky was the commissioner, and I was really not happy with him. I mean, I love Chucky. I still do.
Right.
When this happened, I was really pissed off. Okay. And you're going to understand why. One day, about November 2015, I get a phone call. It's a blocked number or something. I usually don't answer blocked numbers, but sometimes when the precinct is calling you to work overtime, they'll call from a blocked number. So I said, maybe I'm getting a call to go work some overtime. I answer it, and I hear, "Is this Anthony?" I said, "Yeah." Kid says, "You're a cop?" "Who is this?" "Don't worry about who this is. You've been having sex with my girlfriend?" "Who is she?" He tells me a name. I said, "No, I don't know anybody by that name." Then he repeats himself, but only he adds something to it this time. He goes, "Yeah, you're the one. You've been having sex with my girlfriend, with my 5-year-old son watching from the corner." At this point, I think it's one of my friends from the job screwing with me. I think he's pranking me. I said, "Yeah, all right, pal," and I hang up. Calls again. I send it to voicemail. Calls again. I send it to voicemail. Calls again. I said, "Something's going on. I got to talk to this asshole." So I answer, and he's giving me the rundown. Basically, he's accusing me of being this cop, Anthony DiMaggio, who met his mother in the street, his kid's mother in the street, and has been having sex with her, with the kid watching from, with the 5-year-old son watching from the corner of the bedroom. I said, "Listen, bro, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. You got the wrong guy. I'm telling you right now." He goes, "All right, well, let me tell you something. I don't care if you're a cop or not. If I find out that you're the guy that I'm looking for, I'm coming after you, and I want you to know it." I said, "You do what you got to do, bro, but I don't know what you're talking about." Okay.
Right.
And we hang up. I go tell my father about this phone call. I said, "Does that sound like a joke to you?" I said, "It doesn't sound like a joke to me. Something's going on." He goes, "You better report that to SIU, the Special Investigations Unit. That's the unit that handles a lot of things, threats against cops, right?" So I call up to SIU and I talk to Vinny Starkey, real good guy, now retired. And I tell him what's going on. He says, "Come up." So I go up to SIU, the office, and I'm sitting there with him. He says, "What's the phone number?" I tell him the story. He says, "What's the phone number?" "I don't know. It's blocked." they can find out who called you from a blocked number through your carrier. This paperwork they got to fill out saying they're a cop and they need it for an investigation.
Right.
So he gets the number and he says, I'll let you know. I'm going to find out what's going on here. I'll let you know. So to cut ahead a little bit, I get a call from Vinny one day. He goes, here's what's going on, okay? This jerk-off rookie in the 4th precinct, I'm not going to say his name here. He's not a cop anymore. He was later fired years later for medical reasons, something totally unrelated to the story that I'm not telling. But Vinny tells me this cop in the 4th precinct is working a foot post in Getty Square. He's out there picking up chicks, but he's engaged. So he doesn't want anything coming back to him because he's got a fiance who doesn't want her to know that he's out picking up chicks in uniform.
Right.
Okay? He picks up this one girl in Getty Square. He puts her in a hotel room up on Executive Boulevard with her 5-year-old son, who, from what I think he also said that the kid might have had some mental handicap issues. I don't even know what the politically correct term is anymore. But the kid had some issues, okay? So he puts the woman and the son in a hotel room up on Executive Boulevard, and he's going there, I don't know, on duty or off duty. He's having sex with the mother with the kid watching from the corner.
Crazy.
And Anthony, he's using your name.
Duh.
He doesn't just make up a fake name when he picks up these chicks. He uses some name that the girl can go look up and see that it's a real person. Right?
Stupid.
Now, this ends up down in internal affairs. When Vinny calls Chucky Gardner, the commissioner, and tells him what's going on, Chucky says, internal affairs. This is, cop is misbehaving rather significantly, I would think.
Yeah.
So this kid goes down with Keith Olson to internal affairs and makes up this story about, I picked Anthony DiMaggio because I'm a Yankee fan, so I picked DiMaggio. I'm a big Joe DiMaggio fan. And Anthony is just a name I picked. It just happens to be a coincidence, right? Yeah. But what happens is, this is all comes back to what I'm saying about internal affairs. The fix is in at the top floor. This kid is Keith Olson's good friend, from what I understand. He got the job through Keith because he used to serve Keith drinks down at one of the waterfront restaurants. So Keith knew this kid. That's how we got him the job. Now, once again, I'm not a made guy. I'm nobody special. So the fact that this kid was looking up my address and my phone, and that the East Fishkill police had to do a directed patrol on my house 5 times a day to make sure no one was breaking in to try to kill me and my daughter's mother and my baby at the time we were still living together, right? That's not that big of a deal because I'm not a made guy. So now they call me down to internal affairs basically to ask me a couple of questions to the effect of, do you know him? Have you ever supervised him at work? Have you ever hung around with him? The kid, the cop they're talking about. Right. Have you ever hung around with him outside of work? They asked me if I knew him about 6 different ways. They already knew I didn't know him. I told Vinny Starkey that I didn't know him. He worked in the department in a different precinct, but he was so new I had never even crossed paths with him. I have some theories as to why he chose my name. It's not really important, but
I was going to say what.
Yeah, I was doing it. He was doing this with other people's names too. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Kid was a total dirtbag. Even people who were close to him told me he was a dirtbag. So I say to the internal affairs investigator, "That's it. You're not going to ask me anything about the phone call that I got. It's just, do I know him? So you already know that I don't know him, and you just want me to go on the record saying it so that you can buy into his bullshit story about why he picked my name, right? You want me to say he doesn't know me, so
he couldn't have picked your name,
right.
But it couldn't have been you purposely anyway.
It was. He saw my name somewhere. Someone else maybe told him to say it, or Anthony DiMaggio. There's a sergeant in your precinct named Anthony, in your department named Anthony DiMaggio, and you're going around telling this girl that you're Anthony DiMaggio. So in other words, if she Googles Yonkers police officer Anthony DiMaggio, I'm gonna pop up,
right? Or
maybe not my picture, but an article about me or something, and she's gonna see that there really is such an officer in Yonkers. So she's gonna say, "Oh, this is legit. This guy who picked me up in Getty Square is Anthony DiMaggio. He's a Yonkers cop." You know what I'm saying?
Did you have any beef
with Keith Olson?
Yeah. No. Did you have any beef at that time with anyone?
No. This was just a kid who was a dirtbag and wanted to use a real name, just not his real name. He wanted to use a real name that this girl could Google and find out that there is, you know what I'm saying?
Cop. There's a cop. Yeah, there is a cop. So he's real, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
She's going to think it's him. Well, here's the problem.
You put your life in danger, your family.
Yeah, this kid, he was a little nuts. Vinny Starkey told me he sat this kid down in his own kitchen and the kid was going nuts. Yeah. But by the time Vinny found him, the kid had found out that that the cop who was doing this was not me. Because what happened was hotel staff slipped a bill under the door with the kid's credit card information on it, including his name.
Right.
So the girl finds out that this kid is not Anthony DiMaggio. Okay. And she goes and tells the father, "You're looking for the wrong guy." But the kid, the baby's father, tells Vinny Starkey in his own kitchen, "When I find this kid, not Anthony DiMaggio, apologize to Anthony DiMaggio for me. When I find this other kid, this cop, I'm going to kill him. So when you find him dead, come look for me because I'm the one that did it."
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn, this guy's crazy.
Now, the irony of it is that this kid, lived in the 1st precinct where I was working as a sergeant at the time. So now I was responsible for
protecting him,
supervising the directed patrols. The cops have to go by his house 3 times a tour and check that no one's breaking in and everything's okay. I have to supervise that, knowing what he put a target on my house. Now I have to go protect his house, right?
Unbelievable.
You can't make this stuff up. But I said to the internal affairs investigator, I said, "Wait a minute. You're telling me," and I'm going to speak to him very frankly. I said, "You're telling me this guy was fucking this girl with the kid watching from the corner and there's nothing you can do about it? He's not going to get in any trouble?" She goes, "Well, it remains to be seen yet, but, you know."
Isn't that like a CPS case or something?
Like it is what it is. Now,
that's not unusual, believe it or not. I've heard that story before, at least twice, from 2 different people, that they met a girl and they went to their house and then they were having sex with her and their child was there. One kid was telling me the baby was literally sleeping next to them in the bed. But I said to him, "But why did you do that then? Were you that he was like, some guys."
I said, "This kid is picking up chicks in uniform."
And he's a cop.
Listen, that happens. It happens.
But I mean, you're a cop and you got a kid watching you. I mean, as a cop, I would think you have more, at least the kid. Come on, the kid is right there,
So let me get to the meat and potatoes of the story, just to show you what a scam internal affairs is, right? The captain of the internal affairs division at the time was Fred Helthaler. This is going back a few captains. Fred Helthaler was a real nice guy. Okay, he loved to work overtime. He was a patrol captain when I basically first started on the job. I knew him because he was always around the 3rd precinct where I worked. I knew him. So one day, while this is all going on, I hadn't heard anything about it in a while. I figured it was over and done. They're going to completely shit can it. I see him in the gym in the 1st precinct. It's just me and him in there. He's on one of the machines, elliptical or the treadmill or whatever it is. And it's just me and him in there. And he goes, "Anthony." So I walk over to him. He goes, "You were involved in that situation with that kid." I said, "No, but it was alleged that I was involved." He goes, No, I get what you're saying." And then he goes like this to me. I said, 4. What's 4, Cap? 4 days. 4 days. They took 4 days of vacation from this kid for having sex with a woman that he picked up in the street on duty in front of her 5-year-old kid in a hotel room. 4 days vacation. But I'm going to lose my job because I didn't answer the phone for a made guy.
Wow.
That's the internal affairs division in Yonkers for you. And what he said to me was, he goes, "Look, Anthony," I said, "You got to be kidding me, Cap. 4 days?" Now, that's not his fault. That comes up from the top floor. And but he had the balls to say this to me. He goes, "Look, Anthony, you're going to be a lieutenant." I'm a sergeant at the time. He goes, "You're going to be a lieutenant or a captain on this job someday." I said, whoa. What are you telling me? I got to wait for an opportunity to take administrative revenge on this kid because you don't want to do your fucking job? And I did say that to him.
Well, was he saying that, or was he saying that, whatever, let it go?
I was furious. I mean, wait a minute. 4 days vacation. Think about what this kid did. Yeah. He could have got charged for that. That's official misconduct. It's a misdemeanor.
And he could have got you,
he could have.
He put your family in danger. And let's say this guy didn't even think twice. And as soon as he heard it, he knew your name. He found where you live and just went over to your house or something. That right there should have been some disciplinary action more than just 4 vacation days, right? I mean, because we've seen this happen even here in Yonkers, where you had law enforcement and involved in a love triangle, and one ends up dead. Happened on
psychological evaluation for him. No psychological evaluation for him picking up chicks having sex in front of kids.
Yeah. Impersonating. What about impersonating? Impersonating an officer.
It went right under the rug. And it got me in trouble with my kid's mother. My daughter's an infant. We're living in the same house.
Yeah, you had to prove it to her that it wasn't you, right?
Vinny Starkey stepped in for me and told her he had nothing to do with this. But she didn't believe me. I was like, I didn't do this. You know, and
unbelievable. Dang, Anthony, man, you just don't get a break, huh? It's been rough going for you since the time you started that job, I guess. Anthony DiMaggio, folks, former Yonkers police lieutenant. Yo, this podcast series has been great. We've been learning a lot, not just about your story, but just even about the police department, a little behind the scenes and stuff. I mean, wow, a cop picking up women at Getty Square in uniform, taking her to a hotel, having sex with her while her 5-year-old's watching, and
he's
telling her his name is Anthony DiMaggio.
He was fired for medical reasons probably 3 or 4 years ago. And you know, after internal affairs, they took him off. They figured we got to take him off the street because he's going to keep doing this.
Yeah,
you know, they put him in the fleet unit. He got to wear civilian clothes to work every day. He made 20 hours of overtime to check. They gave him a desk job.
What's the fleet unit? What does that mean?
That's the unit that you know maintains and manages all the vehicles in the department.
I gotcha.
Right.
Oh, he got a sweet gig then.
Oh, he got a sweet gig. Yeah, he got taken care of.
Anthony, man, thank you for joining me again. Make sure you tune in next Friday at 8 o'clock. You know, sorry about today. My wife had a PTA meeting, and then you know, I was on my own for food, so I had to go real quick and get some food. But you know, we try to start at 8 o'clock as best as possible. But hopefully, we'll be on time next week. But thank you for joining me again. It's been another interesting podcast. If you're new and just watching it for the first time, catch up. This is number 6, so there are 5 other podcasts that you can go and watch and kind of catch up to where we're at. So next week, when it really starts getting good, right, we're going to get into what happened at the crime scene that sparked this whole issue with you and the Goomba, as you call them. All right? I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Anthony DiMaggio. I appreciate it, folks. Just help me. Give him a round of applause. My sound effect. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I'll see you next week. We'll talk. Take care. Folks, that was Anthony DiMaggio. Once again, that's part 6. So, you know, there's other episodes there. So go check them out if you missed them. Catch up. Join us next week for part 7 at 8 o'clock. You know, it's going to get more interesting. And if you didn't watch the Mike Cater interview, check that out. It's up on the page also. For those who are new to Basement Politics, my name is Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. What I do is I inform the people on what's happening here in the city of Yonkers, political matters, community matters, and I'm here for the people. I tell it to you like it is, unbiased, untainted, and unfiltered. I don't get paid to do this. This is volunteer. No one controls me, not even my cater. No, I am my own mind. I'm very independent. What I do is I just tell it to you like it is. I see what's happening and I report it. And more, the podcast has grown. People are watching. People are stopping me in the street, thanking me for what I'm doing. So I'm going to continue to do it. That's my reward. That's my payment. Folks, we got to come out next year and vote. A lot of people are getting pushed out of Yonkers. A lot of luxury developments going up, and our elected officials are not representing the people that voted them in. And it's time we change that next year. So I need you folks to come out and vote. And this is why I'm doing it. I want everyone to come out next year. 2023 is an important election year here in the city of Yonkers. Specifically, we have District 1, 3, and 5, as well as the mayor's seat. And a lot of people are telling me they do not want terms eliminated, but that's not what the officials are saying. According to them, they believe that everyone in the city of Yonkers just loves the way it's going. They love seeing the small businesses being forced closed down on Warburton and throughout Yonkers, or the apartment buildings being condemned and people being forced out. They just love that. They love all the luxury developments that they just cannot afford. I'm Freddie Vasquez of Basement Politics. Check out the page. If you haven't already hit a follow. I'm also on YouTube. If you have anything you want to tell me, want me to look into, like today I went to go see some illegal apartments. People calling me up about them, or anything at all. Reach out to me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. It's politicwithfred@gmail.com. Folks, it's important that we get involved. And as I'm sure you guys are seeing a lot of the developments and stuff going up, how quickly Yonkers is changing, how crowded it's becoming, how horrible the streets are, how hard it is to find an affordable place to live, how hard it is to find a job that's paying a decent livable wage. and nothing seems to be changing. And what about the schools? We have to do something about it, folks. We have to come out and vote. It's very important. So I appreciate people that are speaking out. I appreciate people like Anthony DiMaggio who are speaking out and telling everyone what's been happening, what's going on. And not to say that the Yonkers Police Department is bad. No, it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot for the better. And a lot of the individuals that he is speaking about have since retired. But it's good to know this stuff. It's very important that we are aware of what's happening. And it's important that you guys watch the city council meetings. It's very important to see that our elected officials who are in there now have let us down time and time again. They killed the affordable housing ordinance. That would have required the developers to add more affordable units in those developments. But unfortunately, our elected officials work for the developers, not for us. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Thank you for joining me. Tune in on Sunday when I'll be back on. Great show. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. They are going to get butthurt with these apartments next year, the big crash. Absolutely. A lot of people just do not understand or see that. Folks, the economy is going to crash. It is overinflated. It's a huge bubble we're living in. Just wait on it. Just wait on it. These developers don't care about whether or not the units are all rented out. They're going to make their money. And what happens down the line doesn't matter to them. As long as they make their money, pay the lenders, they're good to go. And that's all they care about. They care about just sucking taxpayer money through all these subsidies that are now being awarded by the Biden administration for all these mixed use developments, as they call them, throughout the country. It's not just happening here in Yonkers. It's happening everywhere, while people are becoming more homeless more and more each day. It's a strange thing that's happening, folks, and we are in for it. Pete, you're absolutely right. I've been saying that for a while. Prepare for the crash, folks. It's going to happen. That's a podcast for another day. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Thank you, folks. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend, and I will see you on Sunday. I'm up out of here. Where's my...
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were.
That was our majority leader, Tasha Diaz. She is the representative on the city council for District 3, a district that is largely living at or below the poverty line. Many of the individuals that live in that district need affordable housing, yet it was Tasha Diaz who assured that the housing ordinance would not get passed. A super democratic majority. 4 women of color have failed people of color, largely Hispanic and blacks, by killing the housing ordinance. They said they were for it. They said they were for the people. But as time has progressed, you see that they are for the developers. That is so important to know, folks. Don't let the food distribution fool you. That will still be there. Okay, the food distribution comes from Feeding Westchester. Thank you. Jeffrey Meyer and his congregation. Thank you. Jeffrey, if Tasha Diaz was to not get reelected next year, would you stop the food drive? Would you not be there anymore? Would you not be on Chicken Island? Would you not be at Nepperhan with your food drive? Will you stop it? I would like to know that. Because I doubt you would, Jeffrey. And the people need to know that, so they can know how to vote next year. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Make sure you are tuning in to be informed. And if you didn't watch the Mike Cater interview, check that out. Check out all the podcasts, man. Check out everything that I've been doing. It's all about keeping you guys informed. All right? Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Shout out to Sammy and G, 4 Barbershop in YO. Shout out to Sammy and G, number 4 Barbershop in YO. Listen, if you got a business, if you're a small business owner, let me know. Reach out to me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. politicwithfred@gmail.com. I will shout out your local business. I'm a business owner myself. I support local businesses, and I want to promote your business. So reach out to me. Send me a little flyer or something. I'll promote it on the show. We're blowing up now. We're getting a lot of views. On average, we're getting 500 views a day. on my little video clips. So I will shout your business out. Guess what? You don't have to pay me. It's free. Just because I want to see you win. I want to see everybody here in the city of Yonkers win. Let's do it together. I'm Freddie Vasquez, folks. Send me your information. I'll definitely post it. She took phone numbers from those online at the food drive. Tasha Diaz, yeah, she did. She wants people to vote for her because if she gets their information, then she goes and brings them a bag of food along with the ballot. They'll sign and they'll get her to vote. They'll get to vote for food. Vote for food. That is the state that we're in. We're voting for food. That's horrible. My show next. Yeah, Danny. Let's touch base tomorrow. Reach out to me. Actually, send me a number if you didn't already. I'll give you a call. I think I wrote it in my office, but message it to me and I'll give you a call. We can, if you want to go on tomorrow, we can discuss it and we can go out tomorrow evening. Let me know. And by the way, anyone who wants to come on the show or has an idea, a show idea, something that you think is important and you want to come on and talk about it, reach out to me. I'm open. This is for the people. This is the community podcast. This is Basement Politics. Reach out to me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. 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 This is Basement Politics Unfiltered.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. And I don't vote for the person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
That's a lot of stars. 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 Benefit him. Because he doesn't cover. He only talks trash. Benefit him. Because he doesn't cover. He only talks trash. We are the real McCoy. Benefit him. Because he doesn't cover. He only talks trash. So that my competition, the guy who always talks about me and say, awful things about me, you will not have a problem, guys.
Listen.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
We're going to leave it where it is. Let's vote on this. Let's get it popping. Like I said, political games that are being played. We're going to leave it where it is. Let's vote on this. Let's get it popping. I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers public schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
Freddie wins. Fatality.